Campus gym, small influencer sighting. I was immediately smitten. Then I began putting out feelers on the buzz wall. Was she single? A male classmate chimed in soon. She does not have a boyfriend right now. Feel free to pursue her. But before I could even be happy for 1 second, the group chat comments started mocking him. You are what you think. Confidence for best friend. Currently, she is not in a relationship. When did she even have one then? Makoto replied, when did I ever give her permission to have a boyfriend? She doesn't get one unless I say she can have one. I was speechless. He is acting cool in front of me. I don't know why. Is he messing with me? But then the next second I am awake. Suddenly, a barrage of comments filled my screen. It includes only one confession from the male supporting character, and the two main characters will find out their feelings and be together. Go for it. Supporting male character. Another move in the chess game that serves as the crux between the lead characters in the story. Are you so good at writing this? And it is the supporting male character who is the catalyst. What a brilliant setup. My roommates all advised me not to be the third wheel, yet I went directly into the comment section and sought that guy. Lost the girls we chat. Catalyst. I'm a Molotov cocktail. Chapter 1. I submitted a post. Campus wall. Please help find this girl. I've spotted her in the gym a couple of times. Had a desire to recommend the position with her curvy body. Who could resist? If she's single, I'm totally stepping up to the plate. If she's taken, no way. I'll just wish her well. My post was immediately posted on the campus wall. A black tight-fitting shirt combined and yoga pants accentuating her perfect figure. The picture attached show her back. It was incredibly attractive. Netizens commented, dude, you have good taste. Give us an update. I've seen her. She trains in the gym Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And she is not just in great shape, she is also a hot piece. Other commenters chimed in, yeah, I know her, but I also saw a dude pick her up outside the gym. Another netizen responded, with those stats, she must have a boyfriend. My mood rose and fell with the comment section. Then another comment appeared. Heartbreaker commented, she's single right now. You can pursue her. A sub-thread quickly formed. Some people said, whoa. While you know her real well, others wrote, so she's single. When will she be a girlfriend? You're really good at pretending, though. Another reply, Makoto. Is this you flexing being childhood sweethearts? The tone was familiar, teasing. The boards that used to read like the comment section of the campus wall had now morphed into a public group chat between friends. Heartbreaker responded to each comment. Yo, we go way back, since we were younger. Of course I know her. He replied to another. She's never going to have a boyfriend now, is she? She's still so young. She will not date so early. He replied to the next. Who will be her childhood sweetheart? She is my little nemesis, my arch rival, a female student who didn't seem to realize the context jumped in. Hey, the person who posted. She's single. You can go after her. Let us know when you are together. But Heartbreaker, he said to me, missed that comment completely. Oh God, George, you've been sucked right into their little couple play. Another roommate, confused, asked, what are you talking about? I mean, didn't he just say they're enemies? David replied, shaking his head. Come on, think about it. What is he actually trying to say? This guy's just pretending, if you ask me. Either keep mum or do the one-upmanship of admitting the flirting. Why are they all pretending so much? And why must everyone watch? Is he some sort of cyber exhibitionist or something? My roommates were gossiping about me. I could only sneer. It was unfortunate for me to have moved by this girl. I was going to DM the campus wall to please delete my post. All of a sudden my screen was inundated. The deluge of remarks filled up the screen. The comments read, meet the male lead's rival. The male rival will then pursue the female lead with a vengeance, but the male lead will be angry, but take it in silence. A comparable rival arc for the female lead would mean humiliations in public, leaving no doubt the rival knows who the feminine heart belongs to Makoto. So the confession of the rival ends up actually being the moment that the male lead and female lead confess to one another. Who says the opponent has to be the bad guy? What a great catalyst rival this kind are. My fingers hovered for a second. Chapter 2. I saw my name on that scrolling barrage of comments for a good half hour. Ultimately, I was able to get through it all. This world was just like a university campus romance drama. The male and female leads, who had had an ambiguous relationship since childhood, were the second couple I had ever written, and I was the most powerful catalyst for their tug-of-war, continuing to confirm their feelings for each other. I opened Heartbreaker's profile. His face offered no privacy settings. Out of his colorful daily posts, one rose to the top. Someone took a bad gamble, so she gets a pass this time. She can keep the sneakers in my collection. Except with a twist. She has to keep them on during workout on a treadmill in the gym and can't remove them. This will so be worth it by the time she returns them shoes. The following day, yet another post arrived. Unbelievable. This little brat lost the shoes I've held on to forever. I haven't even worn them once, my roommate said. George, are those the sneakers I saw you smiling about when you brought them back to the dorm last week? I nodded. Yeah, that's the pair. When I went to the gym last week, the sole of the shoe came apart. I was just about to text myself back to my room when she put a pair of shoes in my hands. She spoke with her face flushed. Hey, these are my cousin's shoes. He doesn't want them anymore. It's okay, you may use them now if you want. At first I couldn't understand why she was wearing her cousin's shoes. Weren't they discomforted by it? I could have never guessed the truth to be so strange, but the shoes were so dear to her, and she was shockingly kind. Interesting. So, I DM'd Heartbreaker. Hey, I'm the one who posted. Could I add you as a friend and find out more about this girl? As soon as I hit send on the friend request, my roommates quickly pulled me in. David said, George, have you lost your marbles? If you get closer to him, aren't you just playing right into his hands? Do not trigger their love story. Chapter 3. The friend request was accepted, without wasting any time, unlike the enthusiastic comments written on the campus wall. Heartbreaker was short when it came to words. I messaged. Hey, you and her look to be cool, he responded. Not really. I responded. No way, man. So you two must be pretty special, huh? He replied. Just regular friends. I said. Oh, I see. Well, that's good. And a string of ellipses appeared on the screen, followed by a question mark. I feigned that I didn't see his annoyance. I continued messaging. You have known each other since childhood, after all. But I thought your relationship was special, and since you said it was just a friendship, I'll take your word for it and go ahead and pursue her, I added. By the way, do you mind giving me her contact info? He replied almost instantly. His tone turned furious. Are you out of your mind? Seriously, you want her friend's contact info? Well, would you just hand out your friend's phone number like that? I looked at the screen, picturing him seething, typing so hard I visualized his fingers penetrating the screen. I replied, Sorry, I was out of line. Thanks for the reminder. No problem, I just schedule it. Next time, I make sure to ask her for her contact number directly. What do you think? The messages stopped for a long time. The screen went dead silent. But his profile boasted a striking yellow diamond membership badge. Now it was of the type that allows you to view the browsing history of his profile. And the comments kept coming. The male lead will be fine. No matter how handsome, by the book and smart he is, the female lead won't ever like him. Our Heartbreaker is free-spirited and bold and carefree. The honest and dull rival is like some antiquated bore with no clue what romance is. Who would like him? The onslaught kept flooding the screen. They equated my measured approach with cowardice. They regarded my adherence to the rules as unromantic. They were waiting for me to do something, to watch me fail. But I would never meet their expectations, I said. Catalyst. I leaned back in the chair and replied casually to my roommates. Or maybe it's more like a Molotov cocktail, a bottle that could blow up their relationship. Being good-looking and smart? No. My most powerful weapon is money. I have a lot of confidence in my weapon. So I'm fairly certain that if someone tries to judge me with bad intentions, that person is going to toss and turn around in their sleep. Heartbreaker. No. Makoto's reply never arrived, though his activity feed discreetly vanished. Many updates. Willow's presence started small, but slowly grew. He posted, Willow, a growing challenge to manage. She made me go in the cafeteria to get her lunch today, and then she told me to get 8 meat dishes and 8 vegetarian. No choice. I still have to spoil her. The following post read, "Went to play some basketball today, and she ran over to water me. I was so smug about how terrible I was at playing. Pretty cute today." A guy asked her for her contact info, right in front of me. She hid behind me. These updates occasionally caught my eye. I would look at them for a second. I will say that Willow was hot as hell in the way I usually like. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. I skipped all those gym days Willow was due to visit. But then I ran into her the next Tuesday, a day she was never scheduled to come in. I wasn't surprised at all. A water bottle in hand, she walked out of the locker room, dressed in a white tank top and tight black shorts, and her figure was still as curve-y as ever. Her eyes met mine. I gave her a slight smile. Chapter 5. But the comments poured in one after another after another. Why is the love interest in the gym today? Lucky guy. The adversary got to encounter her again. Some people mocked me. Come on, clown. I casually nodded at her and said, hey, then kept walking ahead. Her lips tight and pressed together, she stood there as if waiting for some answer. But I just said hello to her and kept walking. It was only as I was about to overtake her that I whipped a gift box out of my backpack. I said, "This is for you." Willow stepped back with her brows furrowed. "I don't need it," I explained. "It's not for you exactly. You last loaned me your cousin's shoes, so I bought him a new pair as a thank you." She eased her grip on the water bottle and looked down at the box as if she were trying to verify something. I smiled and replied that it was custom made by an American studio. "Your cousin should like them." For a moment, her eyes brightened. The comments started coming again. What is the rival doing? Can someone wake him up? Just a pair of old shoes. And he's referring to American studios. But the female lead won't give a damn about that. The best thing anyone can do is sit quietly. Willow averted her face, the bag in her hand wrinkling slightly from her grip. I had said little else and was on the verge of turning to go. Then she spoke. "Wait a minute." Her voice was behind me. She asked, "Is it you who confessed to me on the campus wall?" I replied, "Yes, it was me," she said. "I don't use a QQ account. I just learned about this and now I'm here," I said. "I rarely use it either. I came on here just to confess to you." Her face turned red. I quickly apologized. "Don't worry, I will erase post and never bother you again," she inquired. "Why withdraw the post?" I replied, "Someone told me you're Mr. Ito. That must be your cousin. You said you two are just normal friends, but I think you all actually make a great match." Well, all of this came out before I could finish, and Willow suddenly cut in, clearly upset and with a frown on her face, asking, "He said we're just normal friends," I replied. "Yes," she asked. "When did he say that?" I said, "He mentioned that to me while we were talking." She said, "Could you show me the conversation history?" I hesitated. "I'm not sure," she said. "Just the part about this." I nodded. "All right." She stared at the screen for a long moment, and her expression gradually darkened. Finally, she released a low laugh. Her voice appeared to be thick with anger as she said, "He wasn't wrong at all. I'm currently single. As for the thing with me and him, we're two friends. I can befriend opposite-sex people. You don't have to take down the post because of that person, right?" she asked. "Senior, what's your name?" I replied. "George Wong," she said. "QR code and Hu Wong Senior. Willow, do you know? Can I add you to my contacts?" The barrage of comments streamed Willow and Makoto's fight all day long. Willow asked Makoto, "Didn't you say to George that I'm just your regular friend?" Her voice trembled, and her emotions were visibly stirred. Makoto wouldn't be able to meet his eye, impatience breaking through his tone as he said, "Yeah, just regular friends. What else?" Willow gazed at him, frustration obvious as she replied, "What else?" So you think we are just common friends?" Makoto shrugged nonchalantly. "I just said it casually." "Willow, why do you care so much about it?" Willow's voice quivered, teary-eyed, as she said, "Just saying such things casually since we were kids, but others are not taking it as casual." Makoto's eyebrows knitted more tightly, his voice getting louder. What they think of others is none of your business. Do you expect me to tell people that we are in a relationship? Willow shot back. Why can't you say that? Makoto was taken aback for a moment, opening his mouth, but his way of speaking became more severe. My mouth is on my face, Willow. I can say whatever I want. What do you want from me exactly? Willow choked up. That's all I want you to tell me. At least. Makoto laughed coldly. You don't think like that in your heart. No. I really believe that with all my heart. Who do you think you are? It was as if the air froze at his words. Makoto stood still, her eyes away from her. Willow looked at him, dried her tears with the back of her hand, and then laughed low and almost sardonic. Fine. Then it's settled. With that, she tossed the gift box to the ground and walked away without looking back. Makoto stood with his hands clenched, his lips quivering, his eyes red. Comments kept coming in by the barrage. This is all the rival's fault, even if it was the male lead who referred to them as ordinary friends. Did the rival have to say it out loud? Another comment read, this bittersweet campus romance, even the fights are sweet. The more they bicker now, the more they will make out later. Ho ho, someone else commented. These two are headstrong and soft-hearted. They will not confess their emotions. The rival which we use as cannon fodder should be the catalyst and hurry to do. Makoto posted a new update. Women love to get angry. The onslaught kept going. Days until they forgive each other. Another comment said, all Makoto has to do is give her a sweet tongue, and the female lead will immediately plead guilty. Makoto and Willow's argument, by contrast, didn't seem to be solved after a few days like the optimistic comments. I posted 3 times in one day. The weather is great. Just the place to meet new ladies. Got a new pal, a new whip, set to make a new girl spin. I didn't name names, but I left room for imagination. Soon afterward, Makoto, angry and distressed, located me on QQ and messaged me. Do you have her contact info? I acted as if I didn't know. Who? He replied. Willow did really ask her for it? I paused, inserted a long ellipsis, and replied slowly. No, she asked me for it. He responded immediately. Impossible, I asked. Why do you say that? He replied. You're lying. How could she request a stranger's contact information? I said, if you don't trust me, feel free to go ask her yourself. Chapter 7. The gym wasn't crowded. Willow was sitting in the spinning area, snapping selfies before the mirror. I walked forward and handed her a cup of milk tea. I said, here, have some to rehydrate. She nodded. Thanks. I was the one who started the conversation. Actually, Makoto had not intended to say that. She hesitated for a moment and then answered coolly. Really? I nodded. Women, they get all insecure when they see someone, she scoffed and said. And you know he'd be insecure because of me, I said. The typical feeling any guy has when they see someone pursuing their childhood friend? Her frown deepened slightly. Her eyes narrowed slightly in disbelief for a moment, but soon crystallized into an icy stare again. Then why is he being so daft? I said. He cares so much, so that's how he acts. He might not even know it, but the more he cares, the less he wants to show that fact. Willow's finally made it to mine. She looked up at me and said, why are you saying all this? I replied, because I think you too are a great man. I mean, your appearance attracted me, but the friend relationship with Makoto's great. At this point, I calmly said, like a statement, and I continued. I really don't have to chase you at all just to be the court jester. For a brief moment, her eyes were struggling. Seeming pleasantly surprised by my frankness, I added, and this disagreement, it's partly my fault. If I had never posted, none of this would have happened. She quickly shook her head. Not your fault, senior, I smiled. In any case, if you want to, I can help you, she said. Help me, I said. Now you and Makoto are arguing and not talking, and it's all about as tense as a bowstring. What do you want out of me, anyway, and see how much he genuinely cares about you? She asked. How would you do that? I replied. For instance, I might be the intermediary, coordinate for you all to spend time with one another. No sweat, I'll be a great third wheel. Chapter 8, Makoto said. When I saw the photo, it kind of looked like you. Now that I see you is really you. He leaned back, lifted his chin slightly, and peered at me. I replied calmly, "Yeah, I drank a gulp of tea and tacked on. Has it been almost 10 years? My biological father was an alcoholic and a gambler and abusive. My mother took me when I was 10 and changed our surname after the divorce, then remarried. After that, we didn't see or hear from my father's side of the family. They didn't know us and didn't care about us. And Makoto, he was my biological father's brother's son." I couldn't help but laugh when I realized this. The male lead's happy childhood was only briefly covered in the original story. The male rivals seemed to exist only as a counterpoint. Makoto lifted his eyes and studied me for a moment before his lips turned up in a slight smirk. "Did George buy a car? What kind of car?" "An electric bike." I chuckled. "Yeah, he got a part-time job. I can easily go pick up food at the restaurant." He burst out laughing. "So now you're delivering food. Guess you're short on cash." I nodded. "Yeah, I need a little extra sometimes." He seemed to have uncovered a great secret. Sneering. "Well, your mom has a child to care for. She's lucky to marry into a reasonable family at all." He lit a cigarette and took a drag as he went on. "Speaking of, your mom is whatever. She calls the cops to break up instead of talking it out. Her husband has been MIA and has some marital issues. Just he's a simple character, uncle." I smiled. "Is that so? I'm straightforward too. Want to try my fist?" I interrupted him. I sound calm, as though talking about the weather. Makoto's expression hardened for an instant, then he made a face of disdain. "George is a really established performer." "Oh, that's why he can bring us food. But to tell the truth, you are studying philosophy and then you graduated and you cannot find a work, you will become a delivery person. How long can you do that? When you have nowhere to go, what will you do when you get old?" At that moment, a voice broke in. "What are you two chatting about?" Willow's voice floated in from the distance and approached. Makoto's face was immobilized as if someone pressed pause. He instantly flashed his trademark grin and said we were discussing George. Willow came up, looked at Makoto, then me, and then asked George. Willow and Makoto still had their argument and silent treatment going. It was an awkward atmosphere between us, but I could tell by the look on Makoto's face that something I said had hit home. Makoto put his arm around Willow's shoulder and said kindly, "He's really my cousin, but George is having some tough times right now, trying to make ends meet. Each day, he needs to do a part-time job delivering food." Willow cocked her head, looking at me and muttering under her breath, "Suck it up. Life's hard." I ducked to sip my tea, providing no answer. Dressed in casual clothes, having kept it simple and low-key, I had ridden an electric bike here today, but clearly Willow still recalled the way I usually looked. One time, she did it anyway. "Senior, how many varieties of Maybach, Rolls-Royce, and Bugatti do you own?" I kept my cool and responded in that moment. "I mean, it's all in," I asked. Still, how does the junior recall every model name so vividly? She tipped her head a bit to the side, trying to speak as naturally as possible. "Well, you drive up here every day. It's hard not to remember." Now her furrowed brow seemed lost in thought, processing what Makoto had just said, or perhaps making some distant connection in her mind. She directed me a penetrating stare that silently spoke 2 words, "Don't believe." Chapter 9, Are You Not Delivering Food, George? There are a ton of people that I see on social media live streaming their delivery jobs. They get quite a bit of tips. You should consider it. I laughed. That's true, but I don't actually do a lot on social media. Makoto grinned, pleased with himself. Well, I have 8,000 people that are on my account. I can help you promote yours. I told her, let's take a photo together. Sure. I walked confidently in front of the camera and said, Makoto, could you tippy-toe for me? Otherwise, we don't fit in a frame together. Makoto was speechless. Willow, off to the side, snorted approvingly. All right, Makoto, why not stand on a chair and take a photo with George? Makoto's expression soured, and he muttered, handing over his phone. Forget it. I'll pass on the photo today. You take a selfie. George. All right. I took a picture and returned it to him. He opened his quick video app and said, "What is your account name?" I told him. He promptly, without waiting, posted to my brothers an update tagging me. Heck, train on the data up until October 2023. The comments came in fast. Makoto lifted his chin, triumphant. "You see, I'm somewhat of an influencer on quick video if I roll with you." But in the next moment, the screen was filled with comments from netizens. "Isn't this George? I enjoy watching his store reviews. Makoto is such a poser. What do you mean? Help them out. George has 1,000 times more followers than him. Is this a friendship joke?" Makoto's grin froze on his face. He clicked on my profile, and a glaring number of followers appeared on the screen. 8 million. His finger stuck, the phone nearly falling from his shaking hand. The glow of a screen lit up his face, and the shock, disbelief, and anger were clear. He muttered under his breath. "Impossible." His lips hardly moved. His teeth seemed clenched, as though he refused to accept what stood before him. Willow also saw it. "Aren't we already too tired?" she asked her 8 million followers. She laughed softly with a glimmer of respect and humor in her eyes. She looked at me and said, "Wow, that is impressive." Her words were a stone cast into the water, sending ripples shaking beneath the surface, and at the same time shattering Makoto's last drop of confidence. His expression sank altogether, his lips pursed tight, and all the resolve to appear unfazed left him. I rubbed my temples, hiding the smile at the corners of my lips, replying casually, "I'm just messing around. But thanks for the suggestion, little brother. Do not hesitate to contact me if you need help with anything." Chapter 10, Willow asked, "I've posted a few dance videos recently. Could you help promote them?" This is how she raised her head, and said this looking pretty serious at me. I replied, "Of course. You are a friend, so I am not going to charge you." I agreed, without hesitation. I added, "The caption, just send it to me afterward. I will do it for you." She sighed, and her eyes went soft with affection. She said, "Thank you," I responded. "By the way, why don't you guys talk more? The reason I brought both of you out today was to have you break the ice." Willow looked up at Makoto, who was leading us. He was walking fast, almost as if he was trying to get away, not even looking back, she said. "Fine," the comments began to flow. "It's okay." "What do you mean?" "It's okay. If you continue like this, you will lose him." "Dajuan, I'm obsessed with drama. The female lead is so heartless. Can't she see the male lead is angry? She's talking to George, the side character." Put it another way, one commenter, who could obviously identify the gender, said, "But the female lead's life can't solely revolve around love, can it? In this case, she can still star in her own life. Why should she rely on a man? She wants to be an internet celebrity. Now here's a big influencer, and they're willing to promote her for free. She's crazy if she doesn't take the opportunity." I rolled my eyes. Willow spoke quietly, "Senior, do you think I don't care about him? Am I being a little too much?" I smiled. "No, not at all. I'm just thinking. You two are so close, it doesn't make sense that you would be giving each other the cold shoulder for so long." She didn't respond, furrowing her brow slightly as she appeared to be deep in thought. Makoto stopped at the jewelry store as they walked in the distance and looked over at Willow with cautious, eager eyes. I asked Willow, "Do you want to go over?" She read my eyes, pulled back her gaze, looked at me, and said, "Let's wait a bit." The comments poured in. "Wait, still waiting. How long do you plan to prolong this? What's the female lead doing? Does she not know what Makoto wants? He wants to get her a present and apologize. Why isn't she accepting?" Some added, "I feel like the female lead is weighing the pros and cons. It's all the side character's fault." Read another comment. "He's so disgusting." Another user responded, "Enough already. Is it possible for you to cut out the double standard? Isn't the male lead disgusting as well? Was it the side character responsible for the main couple's fight?" So, at the jewelry store, Makoto stood still for a bit and looked for an angle to attack me. Finally, he spoke. "Oh, and George, did you sign with the company yet?" I replied, "I have." My tone was calm. Willow squared her shoulders, looked up, and very cautiously asked, "You just now told me you'd promote me at no charge. Will that create issues for you?" I answered, No problem, no problem. I am sure it'll be fine. Makoto smiled brightly, but his tone became sharp and he said, don't you need to check with the company? Won't they mind? MCN agencies are run a lot less haphazardly these days, I countered. And besides, the management isn't that strict, Makoto said with a broad smile, smugness creeping into his voice. Charles, if you fell like this, a company like that won't be around long. Okay, they are signing you well, and so on. I smiled slightly. I might have been unclear, I said with a smirk. It's my own company. There was a brief pause in the air. Makoto smiled, then froze, and said, what did you say? I kept smiling and answered. I said, it's my company. My mother remarried, and she remarried well. My stepdad doesn't hit me at all. He even gave me money to invest in opening my own company. He gritted his teeth. But you said that your expenses for living weren't enough? I smiled. Yeah, originally my dad was going to give me $1 million a month, and my mom was like, that's too much. So in the end, I only went for $200,000. Makoto's fingers crushed the cup in his hand, the glass screeching as he tightened his grip. I said $200,000 a month, he said. Well, what can I do? I have to support myself. The comments exploded again. How much? Did you just say that is how much your living expenses are? Teach me how to live with that $200,000. So the side character is a wealthy second generation. I don't believe it. Well, show me a transfer of $10,000 and then I will believe it. Another comment read, George, IA girl, and I is also knocked down. Did you see that? Take a look at me. I kept smiling softly. Willow was looking at me lovingly. Makoto and Willow, now in our 30s, had been lifelong best friends. They went through a lot of ways to break up their relationship, but I hadn't come to court her or win her over. With enough money and power, I could present to her a trajectory more suitable and a match more fitting. It would not take much, just a little spark to flick that tiny touch of greed. The rest would follow in a natural progression. Chapter 11. Willow seemed to lose her enthusiasm. Her former civility and a bit of a distance for me had evolved into something more zealous. But in a tone of testing, she asked, George, are you free tonight? If you got to help me last time, I would like to thank you. So let me treat you on a meal. Tomorrow is fine, too, whenever you get around to it. She even began to like my daily posts. The relationship with Makoto, however, seemed to have eased somewhat. But when Makoto got close, she always maintained a distance of one key. On the surface, she started stressing, I've known Makoto a long time. We're just ordinary friends. Hearing this, Makoto's expression changed just a little. Willow icily responded, isn't it great to be just regular friends? You've said that yourself. Makoto's smile felt strained, and his hands were balled up, knuckles white from the tension. His feelings were becoming more extreme. He blamed everything on me. Finally, it all erupted. He was posting under an anonymous name on the campus wall. George is a scumbag. He is a sucker who meddles with other people's affairs. What he had not anticipated was how quickly people would be able to find the performance Makoto had staged just before. A classmate commented, Yo, did you forget that you told people Willow was fair game and that she was single? Someone dug up an old screen grab of that comment and snarkily said, who said she's single now? Feel free to pursue her. Men, you flip-flop faster than flipbooks. Makoto's friends even began turning on him, saying, Makoto, this isn't good. You cannot make a claim without proof. If you can get money from Pap, you can get money from Willow. Makoto's social media went dark. No more daily posts. There was no such action, only a story with a blank black background, which read, Am I wrong? As the sequence of comments reversed completely, the comments flooded in. To be fair to George, I don't think he did anything wrong. Things just did not go as planned with the male lead's confusing actions. The male lead is pretentiously, and the female lead is materialistic. The silly remarks from earlier just an additional slap. Others remarked both the leading characters are idiots. Now George is the only well-adjusted one. Chapter 12. What the story went, or in directions no one ever speculated. Willow made a long post in the campus walls comment section where she responded to all of the rumors about her and Makoto. "Makoto and I are nothing but ordinary friends," she wrote. "Do not spread rumors and defame innocent people." The comments went wild. This ship that I was rooting for is really gonna just end like this? Although the male lead had several mistakes. Isn't this sort of distancing making their childhood friendship seem contrived? One comment read, "What if we the female lead with the male side character instead?" Willow called me, with disappointment of Makoto and love for me. She said, "He always thinks he's right. Sometimes I just find him very annoying." "George, you're different. You have great skills, and you're fit for a higher school. We really should give it a try, I think." In my ear, David laughed uproariously. "George, you're too good. You have become a Molotov cocktail." "Are you going to tell her the truth?" "I nearly spit my drink out," I said. "Confess. Are you crazy?" Willow's voice froze. "What are you laughing at?" I smiled. "Willow, do you remember that time you dressed up and handed me Makoto's beloved shoes? And calling someone who you're supposed to be dating your cousin? We bit when I showed you I had some money and I could help you. All of a sudden you're sticking to me. What does that say about you?" My voice went icy as I said, "You're a worthless person." It was not even close to the end of Makoto's collapse. And at school he was vilified and shunned by his friends. Way before this, Willow had been so keen to become an internet celebrity and me, the rich second-generation boyfriend, that she had taken to excessive spending, buying luxury items without hesitation, accumulating considerable debt. She had also received violent collection threats over online loans. She was later suddenly solvent and paid her debts all at once. However, it was revealed shortly after that she had a part-time job as a colored streamer on an external site to pay off her debts. She was ostracized, the word spreading through the school. I ordered a box of Wash Your Troubles Away health products and had someone take it to her dorm. The comments started pouring, and now, the main characters acted like this now. What am I supposed to watch? Someone commented, "Watch George. I'm here for George becoming the new male lead." The comments were not the only thing on screen. A notification popped up. "George, how'd you like to take over as the new man lead?" I hit the no button between the options. But as I swiped my finger across the screen, all the comments had disappeared. I looked up at the sun pouring in through the window. I meant being a Molotov cocktail, a person who's not afraid, who can get mad and turn things upside down. Sounds good enough to me.